Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be filming an RX-8. I believe it's fully stock or mostly stock. It's my good friend Amery. I don't see him too often, but every time I see him, he either has the Mazda Speed 3 or the RX-8. So I figured I haven't filmed an RX-8 in a while. The last one I filmed was actually an LS swapped RX-8, which was, it's actually one of my most popular videos. I'll link it, you know, around this time frame in one of the cards on the video. But a lot of people didn't like that it was swapped, which there's a lot of die-hard rotary fans, so I kind of understand why they reacted that way. But that video still did really well. This RX-8 is fully stock, like I said, so it still has the rotary engine. They're pretty rare nowadays, and the one that he has is super clean, so I'm very excited to get into filming this one. But we're just headed over right now and we're gonna get right into it. Why don't you introduce yourself and your car to the viewers?
My name's Amery. This is my 2009 Mazda RX-8 R3. I got it back in October or so I've had it for a few months now, but it's my weekend fun car.
Why don't you talk about why you chose the RX-8 and just kind of your journey with cars?
So I actually started off with a Mazda Speed 3. I picked up cars kind of as a hobby back in 2020 during COVID time. I've had 3 of them. I crashed the first, blew up the second, and now I'm on my third. But I mean, since then I've kind of just loved Mazdas.
Yeah.
And you know, for a while, every dream guy for at least Mazdas, you know, is an RX-7. Yeah. RX-7's kind of unattainable, you know, my point in life, but I kind of gravitated towards the RX-8 after seeing like some videos, just doing research and kind of just looking at cars. And you know, I work at Honda. I have some friends with, you know, high revving S2000s or high built K series, and you know, RX-8's more or less Mazda's version of that. Not necessarily like, you know, a roadster, but high revving car that's just fun, and I really like how they look. Realistically, it's like, this was pretty attainable. I got a really good deal on it. I was just searching up on Craigslist for fun at work because I was bored, and I found this one up in Washington for $7 grand or so. And if you don't know, most of the R3s, if any of them are found, because there aren't a lot of these made, they're generally anywhere between 12, 15, 20K, just because they're so rare. Damn. And it just depends on what kind of condition they're in, because a lot of the people that have R3s usually maintain them pretty well, or at least try to keep them maintained. So I found this for 7, messaged the guy, pretty much flew up next day, one-way road trip with an old friend, and we road tripped it all the way back down the Oregon coast in a weekend. So it was a really good time, and now I have like a lot of emotional attachment with this car. So you know, it's a fun car, and I don't think I'll get rid of it anytime soon. You mentioned it's an R3. Can we kind of talk about just like the rarity and the specs of the R3, like what changes there are? So. Yeah, so there are actually 3 trims of the RX-8. There's the Sport, the Grand Touring, and the R3. The R3 is a lot more rare. It's only unique to the Series 2 RX-8. And there were only about 1,000 made in the US. And fun fact, I wanted to find a white one, but they don't make white R3s unless it's in Canada or Japan. Okay. So I'd have to fly to Canada or import one from Japan if I wanted to get a white one. But the difference between the R3 and just the other 2 trims, you get the 19-inch wheels. They're the same ones that are on the Mazda Speed 3 2nd gen, so essentially the same wheel, just 1 step bigger. They're 19s. Okay. They come with Bilsteins from factory, different gearing in the transmission. I think they have a longer final drive, and then they have Recaros. The Recaros from factory are kind of what make the R3 a little special, but realistically, since it's not a ton different than the GT and the Sport trims, what a lot of people will do is they'll just buy the Recaros from the R3 and then just swap it into the other trims.
So now that we have the hood open, why don't we just talk about the car in general, like the motor and just some high points of the car and what made you love it? Well,
it's a rotary. Yeah. It's a Renesis. The unreliable rotor. It's not the 13B. It doesn't handle turbo as easily as the 13B. I know someone who has turboed their Renesis, but it takes a lot of work. Okay. But for the most part, mine is bone stock. The person I bought it from in Washington is the 2nd or 3rd owner. Some 3rd or 4th, I forget. But it was bone stock, daily driven, and super well taken care of. So I realistically haven't touched it. Yeah. I don't want to touch it. It's still the factory 2 rotor, and I'm at like 128,000 miles, so I am well overdue for some blown apex seals. But, you know, this thing's been really great. And I mean, I just try and take care of it as best I can. For the most part, I kind of just drive it on the weekends. I keep it stored. Place I'm living at right now doesn't have a garage. I'm trying to find a place with a garage so I can at least store it on the weekends. But everything's stock. Wheels are stock. They're the same summer tires that came with the car. Stock exhaust, stock intake, stock everything. So, you know, I'm just trying to enjoy it for kind of how it is before I start adding some stuff in.
Okay.
Plus, there are just some small trim pieces, stuff like that, that I just want to fix. You know, just make the car drivable and livable, and make sure it's like reliable and, you know, up to date on everything.
Okay, so you mentioned some future plans. So let's go into that. What would you do for the RX-8, like feature-wise?
First thing is an exhaust. This thing is too quiet. My Speed 3 is a little too loud.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but it's a little obnoxious. I would like to be a little louder. I mean, the main thing is just intake exhaust and a cat, like a good cat. Make it just sound pretty good.
Okay.
There are a few options from like Racing Beat and Engine are probably the two most popular ones.
For sure.
I've been kind of looking into some other options from Japan, but nothing's really stuck yet, and they're pretty pricey. Plus, you know, everything's expensive to import now.
Yeah.
So haven't really stuck, but you know, I just search and one day I'll probably buy it.
Okay, so exhaust intake, would you consider tuning the car?
Probably not. In its stock form, no. Doesn't really need too much of a tune.
Sure.
If the rotor's blue, then I'd build a motor if I really needed to. But I generally like to have my cars how they were designed.
Yeah.
What they were intended to do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, you know, want to turbo a car that wasn't meant to be turboed, because it kind of throws off the whole balance.
Sure.
Plus, I already have a turboed car, so having NA versus turbo discrepancy plus a high revving NA it's really fun. It's just a fun experience, you know, like going onto the freeway in third gear at like 80 miles an hour at 9,000 RPM is just so much fun. I wouldn't want to trade that for losing some of that because it's turboed, you know?
Dude, 9,000 sounds crazy though.
It's really fun.
Pretty crazy.
It's a lot of fun.
Between the Mazda Speed 3 and the RX-8, why don't you talk about which one you prefer to drive, and then just the differing driving experiences between the two?
Prefer to drive. Oh. Okay. If this one didn't only get like 200 miles to the tank and cost like $85 with premix and premium gas, I'd probably say the RX-8.
Yeah.
The Speed 3 is a great daily driver. Don't don't discount it at all. You know, that one has like 180, almost 190,000 miles. So I've been driving it for a while, and he's never done me wrong. He's also done me wrong in a lot of ways, and he needs some good work. But I'd say realistically, the main thing that got me to enjoy the RX-8 so much is the seats. Like, the Recaros are so comfortable and they fit my profile really nice.
Yeah.
So like, add in a seat into the Speed 3 and I realistically think I'd love it a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the Speed 3 tries to kill you. Torque steer is the one known thing with the Speed 3. And but this is just, it's smooth, and when it's in the rain I can whip it a little bit, and it's fun because I mean it's rear wheel drive, right?
Yeah,
so
I like that. Okay.
It's my first experience with a rear wheel drive car, so I've really enjoyed the RX-8. So you know, when I take it out on the weekend, or you know, I just decide like, hey, I want to drive the RX-8 today. Yeah. The novelty of it's really nice, as opposed to, you know, just getting in your daily driver and going to work, you know, or going somewhere.
It's just like in a phrase, you would say the Mazda Speed 3 tries to kill you.
Yes.
What about this one? What would be like your one-liner to describe this driving experience?
Raw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like
not in any weird way.
Yeah, no, I like that.
It's just true driving.
Bro said raw. If someone's in the market for an RX-8, what should they be looking out for?
Ooh. So this is kind of where it starts to get a little divisive, because Series 1 RX-8s, I would say, I think, look a little bit better when modded, because you have a lot of options for, you know, kits, and it's been out there for, well, longer, right? But it's also a lot less reliable. You know, with the Series 2, Mazda made it a lot more reliable, and a lot of the people that I know within the rotary community haven't really had issues with their Series 2, unless they really started like modding it. But from OEM plus kind of style, it's been pretty reliable. So if you can, and if you're fine with how the Series 2 looks, and I love how the Series 2 looks, it's a lot more reliable. But just as a general rule of thumb for any rotary, just change the oil, take care of it, and do not buy a cheap Clapton. And always get a compression test. Always get a compression test before you buy the car, because if you're buying a car with no compression, you are going to have to rebuild the motor, and it is expensive. So, because you know, most of the people that buy these, you know, don't really take care of it. I was fortunate enough that the person that I bought it from daily drove it, took really, really good care of it. You know, I mean, this car made it 1,500 miles within 3 days after buying it. You know,
that's really good.
So he's done me good. So I've been extremely lucky with this car.
So bottom line, do not buy a cheap one because it's going to be expensive in the long run.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay, don't buy cheap ones, guys.
Really.
Let's do a quick interior tour of the RX-8.
So main thing is our suicide doors. Suicide doors are really fun. The only downside is, though, my parking lot at my apartments are not very spacious. So sometimes it makes it a little hard to get out of the car. But realistically, it's a fun little, you know, party trick.
Of course.
But these are the recaros that come from factory, both front and rear. Normally, most of them retail on like the aftermarket, you know, selling places by like $3,000, maybe $4,000, depending on the condition.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, because it's full front and back.
Oh, okay. You know, that makes sense.
Mine are in pretty decent shape. I say is there's a bit of tearing on most of the leathers, but pretty easy to get reupholstered. And the most common breaking point on these is these little. So there's supposed to be some plastic clips here. You can buy them. They're still somehow available OEM through Mazda. They're pretty pricey though. They're like $50 a pop per clip. So I'm missing mine on both my seats, so it's gonna be somewhere to like $200 to $400 depending on if I want to do both seats. So, you know, I do want to get that fixed though. There are some preventative ways to kind of keep it attached in, so I'll probably get that. That's one of the small things I just want to fix to just make the car feel a little bit nicer.
Okay.
These are some aftermarket floor mats that came with the car. Apparently you can't find them anymore, so I just stick with them for the most part. A lot of these components on the Series 2 and I believe Series 1 chassis are shared between the NC. This one's similar to the NC Miata. So I actually have like an NC Miata shifter, clutch, and a lot of different things here. But for the most part, it's a very comfortable driving experience.
A drone taking some B-roll and stuff like that. But let's see the trunk.
Sure. Good old-fashioned box of oil. Box of oil, premix, transmission fluid, everything that works. RX-8 owners, go nowhere without said premix.
So this is the maintenance and like the daily upkeep you're talking about.
Yes.
And it's in this box.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oil, the premix, you know.
Small detailing stuff here and there, and some tools. Yeah.
Okay. It's pretty organized in here though.
try to be at least a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just good to have, you know, I didn't buy this car for the trunk space. I have the Speed 3 for that. So having all this extra stuff in here is just good preventative stuff in case anything happens. But need to get these resealed. That's also pretty common.
Yeah, this thing's pretty quiet, man.
Yeah,
this is pretty quiet.
It's all intake noises, and like it only starts getting loud once there's a port that opens up at around 6K.
Okay.
So that's when it really starts getting like louder.
Which we're gonna hear soon.
This is the part where I usually say this is my first time in a car, but this is actually my second time in his car because he came to one of my meets that I hosted. But we are gonna get some driving footage. We need to get to 9,000 RPM because that's the kind of the appeal of this car, one of them at least. And I'm excited to hear it and just experience the rawness that he was talking about.
I'm really gonna regret using that as the one-liner for this car. gear 80 miles an hour is so fun.
That felt good, man. It does rev really high. I miss having a high revving car. The M3 went to 8,400.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but yeah, shout out to Amery for this opportunity to film and experience the RX-8. I think it's a good one. We'll check back up with him when he has some changes, or maybe with the Mazda Speed 3, who knows. He says that thing's been giving him issues, but yeah,
I'll get him fixed.
hopefully you enjoyed the video.
Tour of the RX-8. Oh, Caltrans is about to stop us. Never mind, we might need to move.
Oh no.